Alright, so what's up everybody? My name is Master Human and this is a new build video for Magicka. But before that starts, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support that I've been getting. The amount of support that I've been getting is honestly just overwhelming. My last build video got 15k views and 330 likes, which is just an insane number. Like I can't even comprehend that many people sitting there and watching my video. That's honestly amazing, and I just want to say a big shout out to everyone who pressed liked, everyone who subscribed, everyone who sat there and genuinely enjoyed my video, everyone who left a comment. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and I will hopefully not disappoint with new content. I have a lot of things in my mind. There's a lot of things I want to do to my channel, and I'm really glad that a lot of people enjoyed my build video, and it's also amazing seeing how much the impact I left, after I left my build, after I uploaded my build video. A lot of people got inspired by me and made their own builds. I've got a lot of personal messages of people telling me that, showing me versions of their build which were highly inspired by mine, and that's honestly amazing. To have that feeling that you had a little bit of an impact on the community, that's just an amazing feeling, and I can't thank you enough for all the time that you spent supporting me and engaging with my channel. I'm gonna stop talking so much now. I'm gonna stop being all fucking weird and sentimental. I hope you guys enjoyed this build video, and see ya. Hello everybody and welcome to my Magicka Dragonknight build for the Greymoor patch. This is called the Eternal Ignition build. This is basically the old Igniter build, but kind of modify it to fit the current meta of the game, which is basically there's a lot of more survivability and a lot more sustain into this build. It's not like we ever needed the sustain, but in this patch, since you have low healing, you're gonna see yourself spamming coag a lot more, which that hinders your sustain a lot. So having a lot more survivability and a lot more sustain in this build will help in the long run. But our damage didn't change that much. Our damage is still, if not just exactly the same. Your max Magicka in this build is a little bit lower, but the amount of success that I've had this build that I've had with this build and this patch is very good, and I'm honestly confident to show you this build, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So before I get into the build video, I just want to say that the old Igniter build is completely fine. It's still viable. However, if you still don't want to change the old build, I suggest you go 3 infused jewelry, because you definitely need the extra sustain in this patch. You're going to be spamming coag a lot more, but the new build is not that expensive. It's actually kind of cheap. If you still have Elfbane and Grothar, the new set is not going to take you that much gold. If not, you just need a little bit more transmutes and then you're good to go. So let's start with the build. First, I'm going to start with the character sheet. Now this is on the back bar. This is completely unbuffed. There's no continuous attack. There's absolutely nothing here. Our max Magicka is almost 39k, which is a very good amount. Maximum health is 30k. However, this is because we're on the back bar, we have prismatic glyph. This is your normal health right here, 29.3k, which is pretty good. 19k stamina, almost 20k. Perfect amount. You don't want to go any less or any more than that. Spell damage is still kind of low, spell crit is still kind of low, but if you watch my build video, you'll see that this is not that big of a deal. Spell resistance, physical resistance have not changed that much. It's still exactly the same. They're still at very good spots. I don't really have that much problem surviving. Crit resist has changed just because they gave everyone a 1350 crit resist base. So however, they did nerf impen a little bit more, but in my opinion it's still worth running for full impen. I feel like the mitigation you get from that is pretty good. Now this is something that you'll see that is a little bit different. Magicka recovery is pretty high compared to my last build video, which was like 500, which is like fucking nothing. Magicka recovery here, this is unbuffed. This is no continuous. no potion, no nothing. 1.2k, which is pretty fucking good considering that we have Constitution, we have LE Drain, we have Charged, which is a really huge part of the sustain. Health recovery you're gonna see is pretty high. This is also unbuffed. Pretty sure it goes up to 2.7k because the set we're running that we're gonna get into soon. That's pretty fucking good. It really helps make you go up. Instead of like using Coag like 6 or 7 times, you're going to be using it like 2 or 3 times just because of the high health recovery that you have. Stamina recovery is almost 1k. I wish it was 1k because not being 1k and the others being 1k kind of annoys me, but it's still pretty much 1k. Like, this is a pretty fucking good stamina recovery. The value is pretty fucking good. You can pretty much spam dodge roll as much as you want with this. Well, not literally, but you know what I mean. Like, you can use dodge roll a very healthy amount of times. The boon is still the mage. I don't like anything else right now. I've tried almost everything. I've always gone back to the mage. I feel like the mage gives you just so much shit. It gives you sustain, it gives you a little bit of healing power, it gives you a little bit of damage. You really can't go wrong with the mage. We are still using Bewitched Super Skulls. In my opinion, it's currently the best food you can run. And also gives you health recovery, which is pretty fucking nice. You know, you're gonna notice that I'm not a vampire anymore, and it's a little bit weird considering that in my last build video in the comments that I've been saying a lot that I'm gonna stay vamp. But after I've tested vamp a little bit and tried to fight with it, I've noticed Elusive Mist has a really annoying bug. Combine that with all the shit passives that they have now, it's honestly just not worth running vamp. Like, there's nothing good about vamp anymore, which is really sad. You know, for the longest amount of time, I've played with Devouring Swarm and genuinely enjoyed having Devouring Swarm on my board. It was such a fun ultimate to fucking play around, but now that's all removed. Mist is honestly good if there wasn't a bug. Now the bug, if you don't know, it's pretty much when you cast it, sometimes it just doesn't cast. It just takes away your global cooldown and just does nothing. I might do a separate video talking about vamp and my opinions on it, but that's for later. So, now that the character sheet is out the way. Also, I am a Dark Elf. I'm still a Dark Elf. I think Dark Elf is still the best choice for this build, if not for Magicka, for all builds. I don't find Breton being any good, or High Elf, or Argonian, or any other race. I've seen Nord a little bit, but I see why you want to go Nord. But honestly, Dark Elf just gives you so much. Gives you max stam, maximum Magicka, gives you spell damage. It's just fucking amazing. So now let's talk about the sets. Now there's not that much change. I'm still running Grothar, and honestly Grothar is fucking amazing. When I started playing with Grothar way back, before I uploaded my first build video, the Igniter build video, I didn't think much of it because I didn't have Elfbane. But once I put Elfbane, shit's got fucking real, you know what I mean? Like, that shot's, like, it just got absolutely insane. When I fight my friends in duels and shit, every time they send me a recap, like, Grothar is like 7k every 10 seconds. It's absolutely amazing. So Grothar pretty much gives you a line of maximum Magicka, which is pretty fucking good. The 2-piece pretty much summons an AoE around you that does 2.5k flame damage to all enemies around you for 10 seconds. It's originally 5 seconds, but because of Elfbane, it's 10 seconds. Now this is pretty much, whenever you're fighting, this is pretty much up at all times. It's never down, especially when you have your dots up and everything, especially when you're in AoE fights. When you're in AoE fights, that shit's never down. Like, it's always up, it's always doing damage, it's always proccing your burning, which is another thing. Grothar does proc your burning. I've tested it, it does proc burning. Now the second set, Elfbane, just fucking amazing set. Gives you a line of maximum Magicka, which is pretty good. It adds up. It gives you 2 lines of spell damage, which is, I wish it was all maximum Magicka, but because of this build, the build has low spell damage. It's really nice to have that extra 2 lines of spell damage. The 5-piece pretty much increases the flame damage over time abilities by 5 seconds. This works with Burning Embers, Engulfing Flames, DK Standard, Magma Chill, and pretty much anything that has a flame dot, it increases by 5 seconds. Absolutely amazing set. If you don't have this golded yet, I don't know what to tell you. Absolutely amazing. So now the third set, which is the new set and the set that I'm gonna focus on the most, and that is Eternal Vigor. Now, when I first saw the set, I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just mediocre sustain set, but when I tried it, I honestly was amazed. What it does, it gives you a line of magic recovery, stamina recovery, health recovery. What's actually really good about it is that it has an extra 5 piece, which gives you 1.4k maximum health, and that's really fucking good. That's amazing. But on top of that, you have another 5 piece which adds 337 stamina and magic recovery at the same time, both when your health is above 50%. Now in any fight, your health is going to be 50% pretty much most of the time, but once it gets low, once you need that healing, guess what, it adds 1011 health recovery while your health is under 50%. So that's what I'm talking about. Now unbuffed, without anything, we have 1100 health recovery. Now imagine that plus the major fortitude you get from Coag. That's gonna be really fucking high health recovery once that adds up. So the magical recovery is absolutely amazing. The stamina recovery is absolutely amazing. The health recovery is even more amazing, just because it really helps not force you to spam Coag so fucking much. So, and health recovery has not been nerfed. So now let's talk about the traits and glyphs. Now, for the body traits, pretty much everything, like I said, is Impen. Impen got a nerf, but in my opinion, it's still the best PvP trait for this build specifically. If I was running sorted board main bar, I would probably run like 5 sturdy or 6. But because we're running Inferno front bar, there's no point in running sturdy on the body pieces, so we just go all Impen. It gives you a really good mitigation. Can't go wrong with Impen even in this patch after the nerf. So everything is Impen, and on the Julie, everything is arcane still. I don't find a use for infused in this build especially, because you already have very high magical recovery compared to my last build, which is, if I remember correctly, was 500, just 500. So this is a huge improvement, and you don't really need infused for the extra sustain. You'd much rather have arcane for the extra damage and healing. Now the front bar weapon trait is charged. I'm running charge for multiple reasons. The first one being that I've explained this on my last build video. Combustion. If you don't know what combustion does, increases the increases the damage if you're burning and poison status effect by 50%. Poison doesn't really matter that much because we don't have a lot of poison. We don't have a lot of things that proc poison. But it does increase the burning dot by 50%, which is huge, you know, especially with Elfbane, because Elfbane does increase burning by 5 seconds, so it does hit very hard. But if you read the second part, when you apply burning to an enemy, you restore 500 Magicka. Bro, that shit has no fucking cooldown. Once you get your AoEs down, once you get your Groth down, once you get your burning talons and all that shit going on at the same time, and you get into the 1vx, your fucking Magicka will be going way up, dude. Like, it's absolutely insane. Always go charge. In my opinion, charge is currently the best trait for the front bar weapon for Magicka. The glyph on this is disease damage. The reason why I go for disease and not shock glyph, I've also explained this on my last build video, is because of the minor defile. Especially on this patch, minor defile is so fucking strong. Like, it's honestly unbelievable. I highly advise against running anything that is not disease, because disease, it does decent damage, and it also procs every single time. It procs minor defile. You have minor defile on cooldown. As long as you're weaving your attacks right, that shit's gonna be fucking people up so fucking hard, trust me. Now for the backfire weapon, I am running decisive with weapon damage glyph. The reason why I went with decisive is because I have an ult that having decisive on the backfire really helps me getting my ult way, like, it's definitely, you can definitely feel decisive, especially with minor heroism pots. I could definitely see my ult going up way, like, a lot faster than usual, so I definitely suggest running decisive. And I'm also running a spell damage glyph, which I would say that double dot poisons are better, but the thing is about double dot poisons is they have lower cooldown and it's only single target. This glyph helps you with your AoE abilities. So that's why I personally chose it. On the jewelry glyphs, I have a Magicka recovery glyph and to reduce cost. Now the reason why I don't want to go through reduce cost is because I want to keep my Magicka recovery a decent amount, especially now we have Eternal Vigor, which does buff our Magicka recovery. It's worth it to have an extra line of Magicka recovery. I've been sustaining with this just fine. I have not had any issues with sustain just yet. Sustain didn't kill me yet, so that's pretty good. Now I just want to quickly talk about the way you want to set this up, because Elfbane and Eternal Vigor are both sets that you want to double bar at all times. So it doesn't really matter the way you want to set this up. You can run Elfbane jewelry and weapons and have Eternal on the body, or you can have it the other way around, or you can do like me and mix and match. As you can see, I have two Eternal body pieces of two body pieces of Eternal Vigor, and then I have one necklace and weapons, and the rest is Elfbane. That's the way I set it up, but you can set it up however you want, as long as you have both pieces active at the same at both bars. You're good to go. Now we're gonna quickly talk about the consumables. I'm still running, like I said before in the character sheet, I'm still running this food. I think especially with Eternal Vigor, this food is definitely the best choice you want to go with. I talked about last video, I said if you don't have enough money you can go with the normal try food. This time, no, you need to go with this food because it does buff your health recovery, and that's a huge part of this build. Health recovery is it's a huge part of your survivability. I have a decent amount of detect pots with me, and I like to have this as a way to deal with people who either just sneak around keeps or night plates. So I definitely suggest in any build, not just Magicka, to have a pair of these, like at least like 10 on every character, because they do help a lot. I don't use normal try potions. I use minor heroism potions, and I've hyped this up in my last build video, and I will hype it up again. This shit is fucking OP, dude. I fucking love this potion. It's absolutely amazing. Gain minor heroism at pretty much at all time. As long as you're chugging that potion, you have that shit at all times. Restore one ultimate every 1.5 seconds, and it still gives you stam and Magicka. So the only thing you're missing is health. And because we're running Coag Blood, and Coag Blood does give major fortitude, you don't really need the tripods to give you that 20% extra health recovery buff. So that's pretty much absolutely perfect. Just everything works so well in this build. I will have the first thing in the description will be a potion recipe for this exact potion, so don't even worry about looking this up. It will be in the description down below. So now let's talk about the abilities. Now the front bar, if you watch my last build video, you're gonna notice that it hasn't changed one bit. I'm still gonna want LE Drain. LE Drain is your major breach, but also it's a very huge part of your sustain. It's pretty long range. Really good to engage with people is proccing LE Drain, and then after that follow up with a Degeneration, and then closing the target, Fossilize and Whip. The second ability we have is Burning Talons. Burning Talons, because of Elfbane, still has a huge fucking tooltip on that. 15k over 9 seconds. Whew, that shit's fucking high, dude. And also has a very high initial tick. You can use Burning Talons initial tick as a way to finish off dodge rollers when people are very low. Instead of using a whip, you can use a Burning Talons and it will finish people off if they're very low. Third skill is Fossilize. This is your main CC. If you're not running this, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. This is hands down the strongest CC in the game. And if you're not running this, something's wrong with you, dude. No offense. Degeneration is your is a very strong dot, but it also gives you major sorcery. We don't really have that big of spell damage, but the extra damage really helps your healing and damage output by a large amount. But still, you want to use this every 12 seconds, not 24 seconds, but because the dot 15k damage over 12 seconds, that's pretty fucking huge. Still running Parallash. Still think this is a superior Morph Whip. I still think Molten Whip is absolute fucking garbage, fucking trash tier fucking skill. I would never run Molten Whip. If you see me running Molten Whip, you're fucking dreaming. Flame Lash just gives you so much. It gives you a really high healing 12k for 2 seconds, and has a 3-second cooldown. So this is pretty much up at all times as long as you're fossilizing and rooting people, and it still has a very high damage, 8.7k on buffs and 10k flame lash. That's pretty fucking good, especially if you consider the fact that if Power Lash is up at a lot of times, it's very high pressure. Now, ultimate, we're still running DK standard. I still think this is one of the best ults for Magicka, if not the best. It gives you a really huge dot every 1 second. It stays up for 34 seconds because of Elf Bane. It adds 5 seconds to that. It has a really good radius, and also on top of the really high dots, you get Major Defile. Now combine that with your Minor Defile from your light attacks status effect proc, and you get 58 Defile on people. Now that is, especially in Greymoor, that is fucking huge, dude. You're pretty much gonna force people to not heal and just die. You're gonna give people no option but to die. That's pretty much what happens when you drop DK standard. Especially if you're good with chasing people with it, it's pretty much over. Can't stress this enough. If you've not run shifting standard or not messed with it, I highly suggest you do. I think leap is shit. I still don't want to run leap. Every time I run it, I just get severely disappointed and just immediately go back to shifting standard. Now our back bar is where things get a little bit different. Now you're gonna see a lot of weird skills in here, but I'm gonna explain every single one of them. Dragon Fire skill. This ability is absolutely fucking amazing. It gives you 50% mitigation to all projectiles. That is bow light attacks, any light attacks from staffs, max orcs. Every single thing they do is reduced by 50% except for the curse. Magic Knight Blades, every single thing they do is reduced by 50%. Now on top of that, you have a 6.3k flame damage every half a second, not 1 second, every half a second. So if you get a lot of people pressuring you with range attacks, you're gonna be popping that shit and you're gonna fucking melt people, dude. This skill is absolutely fucking amazing. I've had a lot of DKs tell me that I'm fucking weird for running this shit, but I've proved them wrong because the clips that you're gonna see, I assume you've already saw it because I put them at the beginning of the video, but this shit's fucking slaps, dude. Like, it's absolutely amazing. I highly suggest running this amazing skill. Looks pretty fucking badass. Can't go wrong with it. Now I'm running Flames of Oblivion just because otherwise I feel like even last patch for Magicka, I feel like it didn't heal for enough. But now it's just a fucking joke. I would not run it. Flames of Oblivion gives you a lot more value. It still gives you the spell crit, which will help give you crit coax. But also Flames of Oblivion is pretty much a dot. I like to think of it as a dot every 5 seconds, but the dot hits 2 people. So you have a lot of single target and AoE pressure because it hits 2 people, and it's pretty fucking cheap. As long as you have this up on cooldown, you're gonna be hitting people very, very hard. Now our third skill, this is a little bit weird for a lot of people, but Cinderstorm is, I'm honestly pretty impressed with it. Don't let the cost turn you off from the skill, because this skill is honestly, like, I like to think of it as an anti-kite ability, because what you see me do with it is pretty much either cast it behind me so the people following me trying to XV on me get slowed down and I can sprint and just kite away, or I can use it in front of me and pick a location where I want to drop my standard and get a lot of heals from it. It does heal for a decent amount. Like when it crits, it heals for like 1k, I think. Wait, excuse me, 1.5k. Let me check right here. Okay, so right here is 1.1k, but when you're buffed up and near a keep, I'm pretty sure it's 1.5k. So it's pretty nice. It's not that bad at all. Definitely suggest running this. It has a little bit of a learning curve because we're not running any mobility tool. This is pretty much the only mobility tool we have. It's a decent heal. It's a very powerful snare. Once you cast it behind you when people are following you, people are definitely going to be slowed down. Even for like 1 or 2 seconds, that will help you escape. That will help you kite and give yourself a little bit of breathing room and drop your ults at the right time. Definitely a powerful skill. Now the cost is a little bit high, but still, I would still run this. Now if you don't want to run this, then you can either run the other Morph of Wings. I highly suggest you don't, and pretty much run whatever you want in this spot, or you run Race Against Time. Race Against Time is pretty good. I would never run it. I don't like it, but I see a lot of Magickas that run it. If you're one of those people, you can definitely run Race Against Time right over here. Now our fourth skill is this piece of shit. I mean, sorry, excuse me. I mean this very fucking overpowered heal. All jokes aside, this is your only way to burst heal. It's not that bad, but I see a lot of fucking 4K ticks. Like it's getting a little bit annoying. But if you consider the fact that everyone's healings has been nerfed, yeah, I don't feel that bad about it. You know, people are dying a lot quicker in this patch. I definitely feel it. You definitely want to have this ability on your bar. You can't really go without coagulating blood. You need a way to heal when you're kiting, basically what I'm trying to say. Volatile armor is your major resolve buff, but it's also a very strong dot. It gives you almost 10k over 10 seconds, which is pretty good. I highly suggest that you use this skill every 10 seconds, not 20 seconds, because the dot is AoE and it does really help add to your pressure. Once you have your degeneration up and once you have your burning talents, once you have your volatile armor up and your burning status effect, you have a lot of dot pressure even when you're not running either burning talents or engulfing flames. So also this ability, I forgot about the third part. When someone is in melee range, they get 1.4k magic damage done to anyone that uses direct damage ability. This has absolutely no cooldown. So if you have someone like, for example, using flurry on you, that's going to be proccing every single flurry tick they do. So it's pretty much a very strong offensive and defensive ability. I see a lot of people running a Mighty Chudan now and dropping this ability. I don't think you should ever do that, just because this ability is not just a major resolve buff. This is also a damage ability, as you can see from the dot and the damage return. Now our ult, this is the ult that I was talking about. This is pretty much the replacement for Devouring Swarm. Now the only reason I'm running this is because of Elf Bane. It gives you pretty much 18 seconds of immortality, and it also has a very decent dot. It's not that impressive, but it does help add to your pressure. So I've pulled a lot of kills with this. It's not that bad. It's the only replacement I can think of outside of Sword Board ulti that replaces Devouring Swarm. It's a pretty good ultimate. It's a little bit high, but it's the same cost as Devouring Swarm, so I'm not very worried about that. But yeah, if you're also having a buddy with you, it gives them a shield 50% of their max health for 10 seconds. So it's definitely a powerful ultimate. Now the alternate ability I'm going to talk about, the good thing about this build is it's very flexible. You know, you don't have to run Wings, you don't have to run Cinderstorm, you don't have to run Degeneration on the front bar. You can definitely work. You could definitely do whatever you want with this. You know, the only things that I would not change is I would highly advise keeping Flames of Oblivion back bar so you get the crit from your coags. I would highly advise having your volatile armor back bar, and I would highly advise having your burning talons and fossilizing the front bar. Those are the only things that I can say. Of course you want to have your flame lash in the front bar, and everything else you can mess around. You can remove Wings, you can put burning embers, you can remove Cinderstorm, you can put engulfing flames, you can run chains, you can pretty much run whatever you want. You want to run draw essence, you can use it. You want to run a racing against time, fragmented shield, whatever you want. It's very flexible, and that's one of the good things about this build, is you can pretty much implement it in your own unique way. Now quickly we're gonna hover over the champion points. I am running 56 into Warlord, 7 into Siphoner. Nothing in here, even though we have decent amount of recovery numbers, I still wouldn't run anything in here. My recovery is completely fine. I would not waste any points, and especially because you do need the Befoul. The Befoul definitely helps your kills. 63 into Befoul, 72 into Tumbling, 72 to Shadow Ward, 13 into Elfborn, just because we don't really crit that much. So having that 6%, it's not that much, but when you do crit, you want to have a little bit of an amplifier to it. 56 into Elemental Expert, 45 into Spell Erosion, 81 into Manslaughter Arms, and 75 into Thaumaturge. The Exploder passive is still pretty good, and you're still running decent amount of dots, so that the 75 is not gone to waste. 56 into Ironclad, 57 into Resistant, 40 Thick Skin, 37 Hardy and Elemental Defender, and 43 Quick Recovery. That's pretty much it for the build video, guys. I'm very excited about this build. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's definitely an improvement, but the last Igniter build still is pretty viable. And I also want to thank you guys again for all the amazing support that I've been getting. It's honestly just overwhelming, the amount of support that I've been getting, and I hope I don't disappoint with the content that I'm gonna put out. And I hope you guys enjoy this build, and go have fun with it, dude. Let me know in the comments what you think. Tell me any sort of criticism, any opinions. Let me know down in the comments. I try to reply to every single possible comment, so keep that in mind. And I hope you have a great day. I hope you stay safe, and see you.